Welcome to StantonMD. I'm board-certified emergency physician Dr. Ryan Stanton. In this episode, we talk about a diagnosis that has grown tremendously over the past several decades, that being autism. And then later, we will take a unique look at the Great American Solar Eclipse. But first, even with numbers of 1 in 48 children, medicine is still trying to learn the causes, physiology, prevention, and best treatments for autism. Bryson Branham is one of those children, a child who was a wonderful addition to the Branham family. His early months seemed typical for any infant child, but then things changed and he was eventually diagnosed with autism. Bryson's father is a paramedic and firefighter in Lexington, Kentucky. His mother, Amy, is a patient clerical assistant at a local hospital as well. Hard-working folks that are raising their children with family values, faith, respect, and love. At first, facing autism was a challenge as the entire family had to learn about the diagnosis and how this would shape their lives moving forward.
When Bryson was about 14, 16 months old, he went from having a few words to stop talking. Stopped talking, stopped eating, and my wife kept saying, "Something's not right." I didn't want to believe it. I didn't see it myself. Part of that was probably denial, but she was very diligent and she continued to push forward to find out if there's something wrong. They went to a ear, nose, and throat doctor, and the doctor came out and he said, "Bryson can hear just fine, and you need to start," he said, "I've only said this a couple of times in my career, but you need to start looking at the possibility of autism." Again, I'm still thinking, no, he's a typical little boy. Nothing's wrong, he's fine. And while I was at work, she was making appointments, and she went to talk to our pediatrician and several other healthcare professionals, and they started to develop a plan which landed us at the Weiskopf Center at the University of Louisville. There was a long waiting period, and Amy would call every day. "Do you have any openings? Do you have any openings? Do you have any openings?" Until one day they said, "We did have a cancellation, you can come." I came home from work and we went, and it was no surprise to my wife, but it hit me so hard when they said, after spending the day with him and several tests, that Bryson did have a diagnosis of autism. Hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, nutrition issues. There were several things that fall under the umbrella of autism. At that time, 1 in 68 persons were diagnosed with autism. Now it's 1 in 48. But that was able to give us the diagnosis that we needed to go forward. 4 years ago, nearly 4 years ago, when Bryson was diagnosed, we saw that the CDC said 1 in 68, and now 1 in 48 people are diagnosed with autism. So there's a growing need of this population, not just for understanding from going to the grocery and seeing a mom or a dad that may be overwhelmed, and you may be thinking, "Oh my goodness, they have no control over their child." They may have amazing control over their child, and they may be having a horrible day, and trying to help them just get milk off the shelf or something can mean the world to getting through that day, because we're seeing more autism. We're seeing more in emergency services. We're obviously making more runs, and these children don't have fear. They will run back into a house and get an iPad or a blanket when it's on fire. They will not want to get in an ambulance because the lights or the noise are just too overwhelming for them. So it's changed my world as far as how I see patients and as far as how I react as a firefighter and how I work with searches. They'll go to places that are closed in, places that are quiet, like they'll hide in a trash can. And so sometimes we have to stop trash collection if we're searching for somebody that's gone missing in a neighborhood. 98% of the people that die after an elopement or as a result of an elopement do so because they get in a swimming pool or a river or a lake, and they do that because it's quiet, they don't have any fear, there's full body sensation, and so they'll get in that environment that they think is safe without the realization that I can't breathe in here, because there's not the fear. So one of the things that Curtis has done for us is we have a river close by, we have pools, and like I said, although we have a safety net in place with our neighbors, we have a new tool in the box that can help us get to him fast, hopefully before something like that were to happen. So you're going to see, this is the future, I think, of a lot of families with autism and different needs, different abilities, is service dogs. You're going to see a lot more. I know that Forepaw said that right now they're 2 years of classes booked up with this need, and that's you know, that's amazing, and that's tremendous in the work that they do and the way that they help the families that they're given to.
With the diagnosis came a quantum shift in the Branham home and community.
There's things out there, but autism doesn't come with a book that tells you these are the things that you need, these are the things that you can do. It's a constant fight and a constant journey to figure out the next thing to do.
Patrick states that they renovated their home with Bryson in mind. Unfortunately, therapy-associated equipment can be very expensive. So with help from other families with autism, they learned ways to help Bryson without breaking the bank. This includes multicolored lights in the room, a swing hanging from the bedroom ceiling that spins, and a neighborhood network that jumps into action if Bryson runs from home.
One of the biggest things that we have with Bryson is an explorer. He likes to run, he likes to look, he likes to hide. And as a firefighter and a paramedic, I've made the runs where a child ran off, and it's not always about neglect. It's not always about I wasn't paying attention as much as he's fast, and you turn around for a second and he can be gone.
Coming up, we will talk about the resource that changed the lives of the Branhams and gave Bryson a new best friend. More StantonMD coming up. Stay right there.
As a board-certified emergency physician, Dr. Stanton is a proud member of the American College of Emergency Physicians, also known as ACEP. ACEP provides physician and evidence-based patient resources at its consumer website, emergencycare4u.org. That site has stories, fact sheets, and advice on a wide range of emergency topics. From visiting the ER to mom tips, you can find them on emergencycare4u.org. Do you own or work for a business that advances health and safety of the public or its employees? Then you may be interested in becoming a sponsor of StantonMD. There are various opportunities for sponsorship, from the show to the website, social media, print, or a combination. For more information on becoming part of StantonMD, contact Jen at info@stantonmd.com. That's info@stantonmd.com. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. With the diagnosis of autism, the Branhams did everything they could to help Bryson advance and keep him safe. They were making slow progress, but then they heard about the role of service animals for autism in a charity known as Four Paws for Ability. They contacted the organization out of Xenia, Ohio. They determined that man's best friend was the best option for Bryson. Four Paws trains service animals for those with autism. These dogs do everything from helping calm the child to monitoring, companionship, and searching for them when they may be lost. They take over many of the extra duties on the parents and protective behaviors that are often a challenge to those with autism. As you can imagine, the training and cost are intense.
Over a year to train one, and it was 2 years before we got to go get Curtis. So Curtis, from the time that he was born, has been trained for Bryson. He's been trained for distractions. He's done, from the time that they're born, they 2 days old, they start playing with their feet, they play with their tails, they play with their gums, they work with the dogs so that there's not a lot that's going to surprise them when they get with their child. And as they get older, they do obedience, they do all kinds of classes. They live with foster families to do socialization. They sometimes will live with inmates in prisons to help with socialization. And then they will go to they'll go back to Four Paws in Xenia, Ohio, and they will watch videos that we send of Bryson in. And when they watch those videos, then they go out and they reenact behaviors that Bryson does, so that they can help with behavior disruption. They can help with calming and distraction type things, comfort things. They lay on him like a weighted blanket, like he used a weighted blanket. They work on tethering, so that when you go to the grocery store or when you go out, which is something that used to take forever for us to do, and now they're tethered together and Bryson has a job. He's walking his dog and he doesn't need us to hold his hand as much, because it's kind of a three-part. One of us is holding the dog, one of us is with Bryson, and we can go to the store and we're able to shop without the disruption, without the distraction. And the reason that they fundraise is to help the community become more involved and aware of the process, more involved and aware of what you're doing, so that when they see the dog in the community, they'll understand that dog's working, that dog has a job, it has something to do. And this community really came together in just a matter of months. We had raised the $15,000 that was our part.
Day finally came when Bryson and Curtis came together with 2 weeks of training in Ohio and eventually home to Harrodsburg, Kentucky. The Branhams knew that the service dog would be a great addition, but they didn't realize it would change their lives, all of their lives.
All of the things that we were going to get when Curtis came to live at our house. We have seen Bryson just blossom. We've seen his words go from 1 or 2 words or communicating with pictures to, instead of bringing us a picture of milk, to saying, "Milk, please," or bath, things that are coming back, words that are coming back. And we see him drawing, and we see him drawing pictures of smiley faces. And we didn't expect to see the things that have come about. We expected the behavior disruption that Curtis provides. If Bryson's frustrated or if he's stimming and spinning, we knew that those things would be there. But we didn't know that this bond and this relationship and him wanting to sit and brush his dog or let his dog kiss him and tickle him and him laugh in a way that we hadn't heard for a long time. We didn't know that those were going to be things that were going to come. So in the 2 months that he's been here, increased verbalization, more independence. He has more stamina. He's able to go more places, do more things. And we as a family are able to go sit down at a restaurant and have a meal, and go to Kroger and shop without meltdowns. And we have an increased sense of security that Bryson isn't going to run off as fast when he tries to elope or when he tries to run away, because Curtis is either going to tell us that this is happening or he's going to go after him and take us with him to get him.
Curtis helps with like no staring and stuff, because a lot of people used to stare at us like we were some kind of maniacs because Bryson was having a meltdown. And Curtis helps with that a lot. When we used to go to the park Bryson would always run off, and Dad said, go find Bryson. And then now that we have Curtis, he just runs and goes to find him. Cool thing about Curtis, well, how Curtis helps me is that I don't really have to do much more work with Bryson.
They told me that Curtis has been a game changer for shopping. What once was a dreaded task with random items, distractions, and tantrums now is characterized by a calm trip out and about. We went to a local discount store to find out how it worked. Bryson remained calm throughout. Within 5 minutes, we were checking out and back towards the car. I noticed Bryson grabbing several items which I thought at first were random. But at checkout, Patrick let me know that all the items he had grabbed had been discussed on the way to the store and were exactly what he needed for an upcoming camping trip.
Here's the things that he wanted to get, the things that we had talked about, and the dog offers a distraction to him. It offers something to talk about. It offers a sense of comfort, some guidance as he's walking through the store. And there's no way that we were able to do that in the amount of time that we did that. We literally walked in a store, walked out, got the things that we set out to get, and there wasn't a temper tantrum. There wasn't any frustration. There wasn't any stimming. He was able to do it in just a matter of minutes. And he had the comfort of the dog. He had the security of the dog. And it's just things that we weren't able to do before. So Curtis has given us the ability to go to a store without having frustration, without having fears, without having anxieties, and without having the stares that we used to get. The stares that we used to get when he would have frustration have turned into, oh, look at the dog, or some socialization. Can I pet your dog? Game changer. So that's a game changer for us.
These changes have made life much easier on the Branhams, but Curtis' most valuable talent is to find Bryson. Autistic people tend to wander and hide. They find themselves in a mission that may put them in danger. They often seek out dark and tight confines that may include a hot car in the summer, a pool, or even inside a trash can. Not only will Curtis warn that Bryson is on the move, he will also attempt to block him and then have the ability to find him if he does get away. A common sight for Bryson to become lost is at school. Before classes were back in session, we went to the elementary school to practice a search. We found a spot near his classroom and allowed Bryson and his grandmother to wander off. After a few minutes, we were off as well. Patrick changes Curtis over to a longer lead, allowing him plenty of room to move ahead and assess the scent of Bryson. The only constant in this practice is Bryson. The goal is for Curtis to only have a nose for his friend and responsibility. We worked our way through the halls of the school with only brief pauses at intersections as we work our way to Bryson, who is currently safe and sound near the front of the school, but in an actual search could be in danger with risks around every corner. And the difference between life and death comes in the form of a dog in a red and black vest. To Curtis, it's a game that means treats and affection, but to Bryson, it could be a lifesaver. Coming up, we talk about the challenges of autism, the changes with Curtis, and messages for others that will tackle the diagnosis of autism. More StantonMD coming up. Stay with us.
As a board-certified emergency physician, Dr. Stanton is a proud member of the American College of Emergency Physicians, also known as ACEP. ACEP provides physician and evidence-based patient resources at its consumer website, emergencycare4u.org. That site has stories, fact sheets, and advice on a wide range of emergency topics. From visiting the ER to mom tips, you can find them on emergencycare4u.org. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. In just a few years, the Branhams have learned a great deal about autism and the future of their child. With Curtis and other therapies, Bryson has made incredible advances. By no means is life easy, but it is clear that the entire family feels like they got much of their life back, along with the comfort that Bryson is safer in making strides in behavior, language, and daily function. Through everything, Patrick has a message for others and reflects on their experiences.
There is so much that we have to learn from from Bryson and people like Bryson. And they see the world in a way that we don't. I don't understand it. And some days are hard. But I think it's important for other people to realize that a child that's having a meltdown in a grocery store isn't doing so because they want to be misbehaved all the time. It's not. It's a lot of times because it's their frustration. And if you see a mom, or if you see a dad or a family and somebody's having a meltdown, they might just need a little extra help getting through that shopping experience that day. Bryson has taught me a lot about working with other people and understanding that everybody's path is a little different. Everybody's day is a little different, but his world is a perfect world. When people say, well, how do I play with him? It's just like any other relationship. You learn what works best for you with that person. But he wants to play and he wants to be a part of your life just like anybody else does. And it's just figuring out how that relationship works. It would be a little easier if you didn't have to train 2 hours a day with your dog and you didn't have to do this. And we wish that we didn't have to. But the fact that we have him has made our world a whole lot easier and made his world a happier, better place. He's got somebody that goes with him everywhere, somebody that is with him and by his side all the time. And I always say, like, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. But that's not any different than anybody else. We all have differences. We all have fears, we all have struggles, and everybody is somebody. I think the biggest thing that I want people to know is if you notice something different going on with your child, you have to be their advocate. You have to be their advocate, and you have to do it right away. And it's an amazing journey. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. And sometimes it's very scary. But working together to educate and to advocate and to figure out the best ways that work for him and the best ways to make his world a safer place. You can teach those things to other people that are walking in the door and they have just gotten their diagnosis and they have no idea what's coming and they have no idea what to do next because we didn't.
The key to autism was summed up by Patrick, who said, if you've met one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism, meaning that every case is a little bit different, the challenge is different, and the needs very different. The Branhams help raise awareness and educate on autism. Patrick states that his approach to similar people in his workplace as a paramedic has completely changed, and he's helped educate fellow first responders on the risks, challenges, and approach. Their goal is to advance understanding, education, treatments, and hopefully prevention. Through their efforts, Bryson and Curtis are growing, a bond tightening daily, and autism is giving the Branhams and their community the chance to see the world through the eyes of a special little boy. For them, it's the true definition of man's, or in this case, boy's, best friend. When we continue, a unique look at the Great American Eclipse. You're watching StantonMD.
Do you own or work for a business that advances health and safety of the public or its employees? Then you may be interested in becoming a sponsor of StantonMD. There are various opportunities for sponsorship, from the show to the website, social media, print, or a combination. For more information on becoming part of StantonMD, contact Jen at info@StantonMD.com. That's info@StantonMD.com. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. As we wrap up this episode of the StantonMD Show, I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the recent Great American Solar Eclipse. On August 21st, a large swath of the country experienced a total eclipse of the sun. I had the unique opportunity to experience the eclipse at 12,000 feet, about 40 miles north of Nashville, Tennessee. It was hands down one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I wanted to share some of those images with you this morning on our show. I hope you enjoy these images from Eclipse 2017. That was one amazing view. That's all the time we have for this episode of Stanton MD. Thank you for tuning in. You can catch prior segments and episodes on the StantonMD.com page and our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that YouTube channel so you can keep up with every episode and get notifications of new content. You can also join the conversation on social media. Like our Facebook page and follow along at EverydayMed on Twitter. Until next time, I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton and this is Stanton MD.